Hey, Tubies! Whew, it's Psychic Bob. What is so awesome to be here with you guys tonight. Welcome to Sunday night show. It's the witching hour. Well, guess what? Looks like you got Psychic Bob all to yourselves for a full hour. This week, everybody's going to be out except for me. Lord Tony, I think he's tied up with his family. Lady Angela's not feeling well. And as we know, Lady Carol is out having mourning. And I want everybody today to, send some energy to Lady Carol and her family. That they've been recovering from the loss of her husband. Lord Pettis was a wonderful member of the OPC. And anyways, they are doing fundraising. They've been having some financial challenges after the hospital bills and the medical bills and the insurance is only paid so much. And Lady Carol, if you go over to our page, The Order of the Purple Cord, Lady Carol has a GoFundMe account. Actually, I think her son set it up. I'll put the link afterwards in the box below. But I'd like all of you, please, that are here tonight, as a way to say thank you for the work we do here and for Lady Carol's support, please go and give a donation to the GoFundMe. Okay, they're trying to raise $2,500. And if all of us put in, a little bit of money here, we could raise the money for her and her family. And so anyways, I'll have the link below for that. Want to give a shout out here. Let's see who's all in our chat. Hold on, guys. I got to get our chat open here. So bear with me. Psychic Bob's doing everything on his own tonight. So it's a little challenging. And I haven't got our chat open, so bear with me because Psychic Bob's trying to get there. Okay, guys, we're trying to get there. So hang in there with me. Hold on a second, I got too much sound going. Anyways, all right. Looks like we got some people here in the chat. Let's see who's all here. Now bear with me, guys, because I'm trying to read and talk. Okay, Mama Bird's here. G-Dog's here. Kathy Private's here. Yay. Melanie Miller is here. Matt B's here, Moonface here, Adele Rossiter. Adele, you're staying up late. Adele's watching all the way over in Wales. Shauna Yakub's here. Hey, Shauna, good to see you, darling. Nigella for me is here. Hey, good to see you. Oh, and Christian Drew 1313 Clifton's here. I tell you, we got a great turnout tonight. I'm just so excited. So, anyways, I hope y'all were here. If you didn't hear, it's just going to be you and me tonight because everybody else is out. So, I thought we'd take questions tonight. But before we get into that, I wanted to bring up a subject because a lot of people write me every week and they say, Psychic Bob, what can you tell me about books for Wicca? I want to start learning the craft. And Jennifer Crox has said, hey, Bob, you'll be okay. Lord Tony said, hey, Lord Tony, I've been sending you connections. So it looks like you're not getting them. I don't know what's happening. I can try to send it again, but anyways, I hope you get it. Okay, so I'll relink you. Let's see if we can get Lord Tony in here. Lord Tony, I'm going to send this to you at the email that I usually do. Oops, hold on a second. I'm going to send this to you at the email that I usually do.
I see you.
Lord Tony, you here?
Yep.
Hold on a second. All right. Looks like we got Lord Tony in. All right. Yay. Well, guys, I'm not alone. Thank you, Lord. It was getting a little thin around here tonight. Well, Lord Tony, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Lady Angela, I don't know if you heard, she's out. And of course, we know about Lady Carol being out.
Yep.
So, anyways, I'm glad you're here. And guys, we got a great turnout here. You guys have been so supportive. Hey, there's Gav Hines is here from London. Maria Zarate's here. B. LeClaire's here. B. LeClaire says hi to you, Lord Tony.
Yeah, I see that. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I don't know what was going on. I just got the message that Google Hangout sent me. So it's like, come on, what's going on here with the internet again? So I'm here.
I'm telling you, well, you know, it's just crazy, this modern technology. You know, I had some problems earlier because YouTube switched me over to the new beta studio. And when I
Uh,
tried to walk through it, it said I had no streaming software. And I was like, what is going on? So I don't know. I've got to figure that out because they're going to eventually get rid of the current setup. So, and that may be part of the problem, Tony.
yeah.
But anyways, you know, I was getting ready to jump into this because a lot of people have been writing to me and asking me out books that I recommend. What are some books I'd like to recommend for people starting out in the craft? Well, you know, one of the things I'll tell you, and this is what one of my teachers told me years ago, read everything you can get your hands on. Now, don't believe everything you read because, as you know, some books are out there, and Lord Tony, you've probably run into this, where the books are fundamentalist and they say you must do the circle this
Mhm.
way and you can do no way. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think that's. I don't think there's really a set way. You know, at one point someone had to make the rules for it and they had to stick by it, but some other previous, you know, someone else can easily come up with something that's a little bit different and works just fine for them too. So
Absolutely. Well, I was going to show some of my books on my collection here to give people some ideas of things that I think are pretty good books to get them started. This, many of you have been here on my channel. You know this book. I praise it up and down. It's almost my Bible. Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. This is by Scott Cunningham. This was the very first Wiccan book I ever read. This is probably my third copy because I've worn all my other copies out. I always keep it on the altar and spill wax on them and lose them at places and carry it around. But this book, I think, is such a great book just to give you kind of an idea of how to enter into the craft. You know, one of the things Scott Cunningham does in this book is that he um, addresses the whole issue of how do you step your mind into being a Wiccan. And he addresses that, you know, a lot of us have hangups from our previous religious upbringing. Not all of us, but some of us do. And he talks about how to overcome those anxieties and fears and embrace Wicca as a life affirming and positive faith. And this book I cannot recommend high enough. Okay. You can get this. It's published by Llewellyn Publishers. And the second edition, well, this is the second follow-on book. It's a different book called Living Wicca, a further guide for the solitary. These are kind of like companion volumes, and I highly recommend them. Tony, are you familiar with these books? Have you studied either of these?
I actually have them both on a PDF book on Acrobat, and
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you know.
I'd show you. I think I showed once before, but I had found the blue book on my tablet here, but my tablet's being used for chatting and all that. And but yeah, most everything I have is on electronic files, so it's like I can just go to my tablet and read, or I can go to my phone and read it. But
Yeah, you know, I forget that a lot of people are using electronic books. Yeah, I'm old fashioned. I like the old hard copy in my hand. And that's just me, though, you know. And I know it's not the most environmentally friendly, but we all have our faults, you know.
I still have the
Uh,
Necronomicon though on paper.
oh, yes. Well, I don't know that Necronomicon's the best book for a new beginner into the craft, personally. That's my view. I think it's
No,
a great book. It's fascinating. But I'm talking about, you know, for people who have never studied Wicca, you know, some intro books. I think the Necronomica has a place, though, in the history of the craft, definitely.
oh yeah,
Um, you know, one of the complaints that I get, Lord Tony, is people write to me and they say, Second Bob, seems as so many of the Wiccan books are geared towards women. And a lot of men write me and say that. And I do find that there are a number of books that are, well, I don't want to say anti-male, but they make men feel excluded. This is one of the challenges. And I think it's because there's a greater majority of women in the craft, women who practice and women who write. But don't think, guys, for all the men out there, that, you know, these books are against you. Many of them say that they write for women, but men can study them. But I got a book here, Lorton. I think you have this one, or maybe you don't. I thought you told me you had this one. You have this one, Lord Tony?
yep, I do.
Wicca for Men. Yeah, now this is a great book for guys out there because it kind of addresses male issues, male spirituality, connecting with the God aspect and the goddess, and how men relate to the divine. love this book. This is written by A.J. Drew. So if you're a guy and you're thinking you're feeling a little excluded from some of the books, this is another book that I really recommend. And Lord Tony, you were talking about the Big Blue book, weren't you?
Yep.
And that's by, I believe, Ray Buckland, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And there's another Ray Buckland's book. What's it called? The Complete Book of Witchcraft, I think it's called.
I'm not even sure anymore.
I'm drawing a blank. Well, anyways,
there's so many of them out there. It's like even the books for men. There's tons and tons of those out there. You just have to search for them. You can find them.
Yeah, and I also say, absolutely. The one, look up some of the historic authors. Gerald Gardner. Here's one I've got. Doreen Valiente. She's an early one. This is also one of my favorite books. Witchcraft for Tomorrow by Doreen Valiente. Have you read any Doreen Valiente, Tony?
No, I don't think I have.
No, I recommend her. You don't hear a lot about her because a lot of her books were written back in the 1950s, 50s through the 70s. But I highly recommend her because she was one of the founders of the craft. And what's interesting is she worked with Gerald Gardner, and then she kind of broke off from Gardner and kind of took a more liberal, eclectic view of the craft. I'd call her the first eclectic Wiccan. That's my take on her. But this book I recommend, Witchcraft for Tomorrow. And, here's another one by Doreen Valiente, The Rebirth of Witchcraft. This one is her story about her journey into the craft and what the early days were like. Lord Tony, I think you'll agree with me. Wicca has evolved a lot over the last 50, 60 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's taken on a whole new life of its own, and it's become more popular with people, especially the younger crowd. But it's coming out. More and more people are coming out of the closet, and they're showing their true colors. And I don't know what else to say about it. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I think that there's, in the old days, the covens were much more hidden, and you couldn't just be a Wiccan openly on your own. You kind of had to be part of a secret coven. That's in the 1940s, 1950s. As we got into the 60s, I think with the age of Aquarius rising, Wicca started to come out more into the mainstream. And I'd say by the 1980s, it's like the door was wide open. I was reading, Lord Tony, one of Scott Cunningham's books, and he said one time, in the past, Wicca was how do you say it? Wicca was a secret religion. And he said, but today, Wicca is a religion with few secrets. And I think that kind of says how things have evolved,
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to bring these out. Also, this is a great book I've been reading recently called Out of the Broom Closet. This is a book just about stories of Wiccans and how they discovered the craft and embraced it and how they changed their life. And I think for people, especially new people, it's interesting. I think it would be very helpful for you to read the stories of other practitioners because you'll hear their struggles, their triumphs, their challenges. It gives you an understanding of the spiritual life and how, what is the word I would say? People start to move forward on their journey, Don't you think, Lord Tay, Lord Tay, you were a little more fortunate because you had a more open household. But, you've probably known people that have come from households where, like, they couldn't even tell their family they were Wiccan. You know what I mean? You've seen that.
Oh yeah. I'm at a loss for words. I keep seeing something walking behind my back here, and I'm not sure what's going on. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, there's I hate to call them this, but I'm going to say Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
And they usually got some kids that are going to be a little bit rebellious and start looking at something else. And those are the ones that you'll see them practicing outside of the home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, luckily nowadays there are a lot more open circles where people can go and explore the craft, I would also encourage people, you know, that are seeking to learn about the ground. Also, you might want to learn about the gods and goddesses. Here's a book I've been working on called Tending Brigid's Flame. And it says, Awakening to the Celtic Goddess of Hearth, Temple, and Forge. And, you know, Wicca is not just a religion of doing spells. It's about connecting to deity. So I encourage you also read books about the gods. They have books on Isis, books on Thor, books on Bridget. All the gods have, you know, their books on practically every god out there, you know. And, you know, I just encourage you to explore, you know, explore from all different levels because there's a lot out there to read. And Lord Tony, you've done a lot of reading over the years, haven't you?
Yep. Way too much sometimes. I used to I used to work security, and my whole job consisted of me sitting in front of cameras or in front of monitors watching cameras, and it just got so boring. And most of the time, nothing ever happened. You know, you'd see it something if it was going to happen. So I just that's all I did was read. You know, I didn't have a phone at the time. I had tons of books. That's all I did was read.
So you got in all your wicked reading and got paid. That's pretty good. That's good. We got a lot of questions going on here in the chat. Moonfae asks, is the Witch's Almanac any good? I love the Witch's Almanac. I don't have my copy here on the table, but highly, highly recommend it. Yes. Do you know the Witch's Almanac, Lord Tony? Have you read that one?
I know of it, but I haven't read it. Haven't even picked a copy up yet.
Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's a great book. It's an annual publication. It has a lot of wonderful stuff. Definitely check it out. The Witch's Almanac. It's published up in New England, like Rhode Island. And it's a small publishing firm, and they do a wonderful, wonderful job on it, you know. T. Rose Lover just asked a question. How has it changed your life? Well, hon, let me tell you, I think that Wicca gave me a real sense of connection with the divine. And it taught me that I have power in my life, that I don't have to sit back and be a passive victim just waiting on some God in a distant heaven to save me. Wicca said, to me at least, you are part of the earth. You're part of all that is, and you can engage with that power. That's what it taught me. And that's kind of a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but Wicca was very empowering to me at a time in my life when I needed to have the strength to move forward and make a lot of choices to really improve my life. You know, I could talk for hours on it, but Lord Tony, do you want to throw anything in on how Wicca changed your life?
Let me see here.
I know, and that's a complex question to ask. But.
Yeah, overall, I'd have to say it makes me think about what I'm doing the most, because I used to have a violent. I used to have anger issues, violent tendencies, and you start doing things differently the more you start getting into Wicca. You start becoming a little bit more calm. Anger issues kind of disappear when you're starting to meditate and do things that you should be doing instead of throwing your punches out there. And I don't know, spell work that's for the better off of everyone else and helping you at the same time.
I agree. I think, you know, when Wicca teaches us like harm none, that's one of the tenets of the faith. Harm none doesn't mean just not killing other people, though we want to sometimes. It also means don't harm yourself. And like Lord Tony's saying, and Lord Tony, I love that you shared that because, you know, when you have anger built up, it also hurts yourself, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You know, for me, the only way to get rid of it was to punch things, and my hands they're messed up already, you know, from just hitting things, and my knuckles are sunk in, and you know, I got scars from where I've actually ripped the skin right off down to the knuckle bone and punched cars, you name it. I was hitting things. And
did you bend titanium rods?
No, I didn't have those at the time, but I left plenty of football-sized dents in my cars. And
wow. Yeah, we got a lot of our questions. Somebody just asked, I missed it, went by, was asked, oh, here it is. Moonfae asked, Do you know of any good books on the Green Man? Actually, I do, and I don't have them here with me, but I'll get them before the show's over to show you. I think, who was it? Christopher Pinzak. No, it wasn't him. There's another person who wrote a book on the Green Man. I'll have to find that, but good question. Come back to that, okay? Lord Tony, do you know any books on the Green Man? There are not many out there, so they're kind of
no.
rare.
No, I was trying to think of Christopher Penzak's name earlier when we were talking about other books that you can get into, and I brought up, you bring things up like that, and you brought the name up, and like that's his name. But one of his books that I like the most is something about defense magic.
Oh yeah, he does have a book on that, defense magic. Yeah, Christopher Pinzak is an excellent author.
Mm-hmm.
I have his series. There's like a series of 4, like the Inner Temple of Witchcraft, the Outer Temple of Witchcraft. There's a few of them. I can't remember all of them. The Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft. He has a lot of good books. And, Lord Tony, speaking of defensive magic, for those of you who are new here, Lord Tony is the Lord Guardian of the Order of the Purple Cord. So he's in charge of all of our protection rituals and defensive magics. And Lord Tony, are you familiar with Silver Ravenwolf? She wrote a book called Protective Magic. Have you read that one?
I haven't read it, and I know who she is.
Yeah.
And, I think I actually might follow her on Instagram. Maybe. I don't think, is she still alive? I hate to ask that.
Yeah, she's still alive. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see a lot from her anymore.
What's that?
I don't see a lot from her anymore.
No, she hasn't put out any books that, at least that I'm aware of, real recently. But she's somebody that's put out a number of things, and you might want to explore her as well. She has a great beginner's book called To Ride a Silver Broomstick. In fact, I got that right over. In fact, I'll get that and show it to you. Tony, take over. See if there are any questions.
Let's see. I don't know of any questions. I really suck at doing this. Sorry, I don't know anything about Alexandrian Wicca. Let me see. I don't take over very often, sorry. But, I wasn't very prepared for this one either.
That's all right. I'm back.
Yeah, there you go.
I heard somebody ask about Alexandrian Wicca. Is that somebody asked about that?
Yeah, they wanted to know about Alexandrian Wiccan or Wicca, and I haven't worked with any of that yet, so I can't really say anything about it.
I know a little bit about it. I've not really practiced Alexandrian Wicca, but the nutshell version is it's basically the same as Gardnerian Wicca, the traditional Celtic practice of casting the circle, calling the quarters. But the difference is, from what I've understood, the Alexandrians are more ritual, like they do more high magic, like invoking the archangels, and they work with more like ceremonial aspects. And I know there's probably a lot more to it than just that, but that's the little bit that I do know about Alexandrian Wicca. I found this book I want to show you guys also. This is a Silver Ravenwolf book called To Ride a Silver Broomstick. Also a great book for those of you starting in the craft. The thing I tell you about in Silver Ravenwolf's books, she covers everything. You don't go away with like feeling like you got cheated. She puts in more stuff in her books that make it worth the money, and her books aren't expensive. This one was like $14.95, and I'm telling you, it's packed with more magic, rituals, teaching than you'll get in most books. So I want to throw that out there. And here's a book also, Lord Tony, you were talking about Ray Buckland. I forgot about this one. You might have this book also. The Witch Book, the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft and Neo-Paganism. I recommend. Do you know this?
Yeah, I think so. I might have it on PDF file. I get a lot of things on PDF files, so I have to go through everything and make a list.
Okay, yeah. You look this up because this is a great book. It's also hundreds and hundreds of pages, but it's like an encyclopedia. And basically you go through, it's got topics, just like here, just open randomly. Flying ointment talks about the history of flying ointments and how they were made and what they did. Okay. You want to look up the Green Man. Let's see if that's in here. Okay. And look, here's a chapter on the Green Man. And they talk about green witchcraft as well. You see? So this is a book that kind of gets your teeth sunk in as well. The Witch Book, an encyclopedia of witchcraft, Wicca, and neo-paganism by Ray Buckland, one of Lord Tony's favorite authors.
Yep.
Lord Tony, you can safely say you recommend him, don't you?
I safely say yes. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much everyone we've talked about would probably be a very good idea to look into.
I think so. I really think so. Now, for some of you, as many of you know, I am the keeper of the sacred chalice as well as the high priest of the Order of the Purple Cord. And as the keeper of the sacred chalice, this is a book that I love, and I recommend for anybody who wants to do work with the chalice. If you have like that as a sacred tool, The Crafted Cup. This book is no longer in print. Sadly, say it was put out by Llewellyn, but you can find old copies. Again, back in the day, Lord Tony, you remember, it seemed like back in the 80s and 90s, Llewellyn put out these massive books, like they were never thin books. And this is The Crafted Cup, and it says Ritual Mysteries of the Goddess and the Grail. And it ties in ancient pagan theology of the chalice with the ancient Celtic Arthurian legend and how the two traditions of the Christian and the pagan actually interface and in the chalice and the mystery of the goddess. Absolutely great book. I highly recommend it because it'll give you an idea of the concepts of how, spirituality evolved, particularly from a Celtic Isles viewpoint, from the British Isles. Some of you in the chat, you've written to me and said, well, you like to just work at your home. You like to, craft food and, do crafts in your home. Well, if you like working at your hearth and home, this is a great book also. The Way of the Hedge Witch. It says Rituals and Spells for Hearth and Home. Have you seen this book, Lord Tony?
Nope, but that one fits my mother really, really well.
There you go. Well, you might want to get that for her as a Yule gift,
Maybe.
I recommend it. It's fascinating because, and Lord Tony, you'll back me up with this, I'm sure. When we talk about practicing the craft, there's no one way. Mm-hmm. There are different varieties, flavors. You can be a Gardnerian Wiccan. You can be a green witch. You can be a hearth witch. You can be a sea witch. You can be an eclectic witch. You can be a Celtic witch. It's practically unlimited, isn't it, Lord Tony?
Yeah, I have actually, the term I like to use for myself is tactical witch.
Ooh, tell us about that now. I'm interested. I haven't heard you.
Well, I'm into my swords, and some people may not like this. I'm also into my guns, and but I do the protective spell work, and I do protective healings, and being a guardian. So I was like, I like my knives, I like my swords, I like my guns. So for me, weaponry, I even have tactical tomahawks laying around. So to me, a tactical witch, tactical healer, I think that fits me pretty well.
Lord Tony, I think you should write a book on that. I think that would be I think you'd get a lot of sales because that's a whole area of the craft that a lot of people haven't explored, but would love to if they, knew about it.
Mm-hmm. I'll look into it.
I think that's wonderful.
I suck at typing and I suck at writing, so we'll see what happens.
Well, now you can buy these programs where you just speak it and it types it,
Yeah, I do that all the time with my phone when I give people readings, and I can't type worth anything to save my life. If anyone's ever watched me try to do any typing over here, trying to make a comment on the chat board, I'm like, literally just fingers.
Well, I can't multitask to save my soul. That's why it's hard for me to watch the chat and talk. Christian Druid 1313 Clifton says, I crafted home and hedge. So she's a hedge witch or a hearth witch. Yay. I love that. Mama Burgess said, very cool, Lord Tony. And Gavin Hines has a question, Lord Tony. He says, are you a member of a gun club?
No, but my dad is, and him and I go shooting plenty of times when the weather is warmer.
Wow, that's cool. Are you an NRA member?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
No, I thought about it, but they're doing a lot of weird crap lately that I don't think is really meant to help the people.
Interesting.
But,
just
there's other groups that I'd rather be involved with right now.
Okay, sounds good. Nigella for me says, does anyone else feel unusual energy in tonight's video? Something feels highly mystical tonight. Well, whenever we gather with the order, it forms a power, Nigella, for me, because what happens is that this isn't just a show, it's a gathering of the order of the purple cord. And we've done rituals among the group and in the past to raise power for the group. So I believe whenever we gather on Sunday, it's like a circle, even though we're not formally doing a ritual today, there is a power of the energy of the gathering. What do you think, Lord Tony? Would you agree with me?
Oh yeah, definitely. We all get together. Everyone's got good feelings towards one another, and they're all saying hello to each other, how you doing, and all that, wishing everyone well. And that energy is going to soak in through everyone because we create a connection with everybody that's involved with the order. As for every ritual, we're all connected, and that connection stays put through. I want to say through our spiritual workings and our connection with the cord, and
Absolutely.
so we feel each other.
Yeah, we got a really tight group in our order. Hey, I got a question here from Jennifer Croxon. She says, I have a question. Can a solitary Wiccan do self-initiation / dedication? Absolutely. And Jennifer, let me tell you, that's a really good question because in the old days, I'm talking about like back in the 1970s and further back, they used to say, and it was not official, Wicca, by the way, doesn't have an official pope or somebody dictates law, but it was traditionally believed that you had to be part of a coven to be in it would become a Wiccan. But in the 1980s, a lot of that started to shift, and they said, well, people can choose this path on their own. In fact, people looked at the history and said, a lot of witches in the early days were not part of covens. They worked on their own. So it arose the concept of solitary practitioner. And then with Scott Cunningham's book, this one that I showed earlier, he talks about that in detail in this book. And he raises a good point. And he says, some people say that only a witch can make a witch. And he says, my view is that only the goddess and God make a witch. Who is more qualified? And for those of us who have done self-initiation, I was actually initiated in a coven years ago, but I went on and did later a self-initiation to renew my vows after I left the coven. And this book really talks about how to do that. So yes, you can do it on your own. Now, I have to tell you, it is still requested by most of the Wiccans of the world that you do a year and a day of study. So you can't just read one book on Wicca and rush out and say, now I'm a witch. Well, I guess you could, but if you want to be respected among the craft members and recognized, they'll ask you, oh, did you do a year and a day? And you should. It is part of the tradition of the religion that you study for a full year. That means you walk through the whole cycle of the year, all the rituals, the Sabbats, the Esbats, and you live as a witch for a year, and then you do your initiation. What do you think on that, Lord Tony? Any thoughts?
I think you pretty much covered it. I never even knew anything about it. It's just most of my life I've been practicing something that I didn't know. I didn't even have a name for it, and things just kind of came together for me. And maybe at some point I'll actually go through and just do that all on my own and do it myself anyway.
Well, what's interesting, one of the things they say in this book, Lord Tony, is that a Wiccan initiation is something that happens in the soul. Scott Cunningham, he said many Wiccans are initiated by the god and the goddess before they even know they're initiated. So like you kind of have been tuned into the craft for many years, and whether you went through a formal ritual, and I think on a deeper level, you are initiated. And like Scott Cunningham says, he says, the ritual is literally only a ritual. It doesn't make you a Wiccan. What makes you a Wiccan is your connection to the gods. And I think that's true, you know. But yes, I encourage people to study if you love this path and do it. I think the ritual is very empowering. And this book has example of how to do it. There are other books out there, you know, study, make that part of your study. Find a ritual, you know, that talks to you, you know. I think that's a good question, you know. Anything you want to add on initiation, Lord Tony?
No, I got nothing. Sorry. I'm easy tonight.
All right, that's all right. Just making sure I don't want to, you know, chop you off if you have something to say there. Okay. Gav Hines just made some nice comments. He said, when I think of the OPC, that's the Order of the Purple Cord, the words positivity, love, close knowledge come to mind. I'm proud to be a member and to chat with such great folk. Gav, thank you so much. We feel the same. You know, when I started this order, Lord Tony was the first member that I invited to join. I had a vision. You know, I was having a dream one night, and I felt myself literally going into a circle. It was in this dream. I was going into a circle, and everybody was around me. And I saw them wearing purple cords around their robes. And that's how I first got the idea of the Order of the Purple Cord. And I started researching the color purple and cords, and it really inspired me. And Lord Tony, do you mind if I tell the story of how we met, our friendship and all?
Go for it.
All right. Well, you know, I was over on Instagram, and Lord Tony used to do the most amazing posts that he still does. But when I haven't been on Instagram in a while, but when I was on Instagram, I was so inspired by Lord Tony, and we ended up chatting back and forth. And I said, Lord Tony, I'm thinking about starting a mystical order, a Wiccan order. And I said, I'd like to know if you'd like to be part of the order and be an officer. And Lord Tony said, sounds good to me. And that's how it started. And then we asked Lady Angela to join. And then it's just been growing ever since, you know. But you know, Gab, I thank you for your kind words, because we feel really connected to all of you here. And you know, I always say, Lord Tony, you say it too. Sunday night's like the gathering of the clan, the gathering of the tribes, you know. So let's see here. Gav Hines writes, okay, Bob, you should read a chapter from some of your books someday. Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be a good video. I'll do some more of my book reading. I need to do that. VJ Drive writes, hello all. Hello, VJ Drive. I got initiated back in 1987. Yes, I'm ancient. It's boring for me solo, though. So glad I found you all. VJ Drive, thank you for sharing that. You know, I got to tell you, I wish I had learned about the craft back in those days. I didn't know about the craft until like the year 1999. So I'm actually coming up on my 20-year anniversary of practice, but I wish I'd known it back in the 80s. You know, being on your own has its challenges, I agree. And that's why we created the Order of the Purple Cord. BJ, I don't know if you've been here, but we're going to be doing rituals at each Sabbath. And so I hope you'll stay with us, because we're soon going to release, excuse me here, I'm burping here. We're soon going to release our manual. We've been working on it, Lady Angela and I and Lord Tony. And it's almost ready, isn't it, Lord Tony?
Yeah, we don't have too much left to do. We're just kind of finalizing certain aspects of it, you know, for each one of us. And I don't know if we've actually decided on a cover photo yet, but
yeah, we're still working on that. We got the little technical things, but the bulk of the manual will be out. Hopefully, what are we in March? I'm going to give us a little slack and say hopefully by May. Okay, so we don't have too much more to do, but we're going to have it, and it's going to be free. There'll be a download that all of you can download to your phone or to your computer and print it out. It'll be like a PDF file, so you can print it and have a copy, hard copy, if you'd like to keep on your altar. But yeah, we're excited about that. It's going to have a lot of stuff in it. It's going to have all the rituals, the the Sabbath rituals for all the, uh, was it 8 holidays. We're going to also have in it information about the purple cord. It has a whole article about what the meaning of the color purple is, the cord, how that ties in with ancient practices. We've got ritual, daily meditation rituals, daily consecration rituals. We're going to have different rituals by each officer. Like, for example, as I said, I'm the keeper of the sacred chalice. And if you feel like drawing, like you'd like to work with the sacred chalice, you can have your own sacred chalice and do the official ritual of the order as well to align with my ritual that I do every day. And Lord Tony's writing a ritual that's going to be to honoring the sacred sword, a protection ritual. And so that's going to be part of it as well. And each of us will have that. So we're going to have that. Gosh, I can't even remember what's all in it. It's over 100 pages at this point. Do you know that, Lord Tony? We're up to about 100 pages.
No, I didn't know that yet.
Yeah, it's much bigger than I realized. So it'll be a nice book for all the members. And the good thing is that everybody, I think the manual will help us all be kind of on the same page, no pun intended. And you'll get a better sense of how the order functions in terms of our unity and our practices. So definitely we'll have that coming for you guys soon, not to worry. Melanie Miller said she's excited about that. So yes, I'm excited too, Aaron Kemp there. Hey, Aaron, Euphoria's here. Euphoria says, do you have any advice on how to help with seeing interdimensional beings? Well, gosh, that could be a whole hour. But I think the thing that you want to start with, and Lord Ted, I'm going to have you jump in on this too,
Okay.
is you want to start with meditation, because to open the door between the worlds, you need to be in a place of centeredness and calm. So don't do it in a rush. Don't do it when you're stressed out. There are a lot of ways to do it. One is meditation, meaning literally look within. One's invocation or evocation, calling them audibly and inviting beings to come. Scrying, whether through the black mirror or water or crystal ball. Another one, you could write a custom ritual. I mean, there's so many ways to see interdimensional beings. And I think it starts with getting centered, Lord Tony, you've done some work with the black mirror and stuff. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, the black mirror is a great way to do it. You just have to focus your intent. You don't want to have any negative thoughts. You want to clear your mind. All you want to do is focus on the mirror. You want to set your attention right at the very beginning of what you want to contact. You make sure you get your protections all set up, and you watch the mirror, and usually something will show up. I've had creepy stuff show up. Not to scare you or anything, but I've had something that looks like a really weird looking, I'm going to say like a gray face show up at the top of the mirror. And that was an interesting experience. But otherwise, if you're not ready to actually see things, you can actually, we talked about this last week, pendulums. And, the one I had was kind of messed up. And I went ahead and made another one right after the show using a meteorite chunk. And, meteorites are really good for extraterrestrial contact, astral contact, and things like that. So, and that, you want to contact extraterrestrial life that way, that, you can get some answers going and then work your way up to it.
I think that's wonderful. I agree with Lord Tony on that. I think that's very, very powerful. Gav, I just saw something. You said that you think your son's wardrobe is a portal. I hope you're okay. Anyways, let me know if you need to talk about that. I think that especially among psychic families, portals do open up sometimes. Children especially are very psychic, many of them, because they have a much closer connection to being on the other side. Longer we're on Earth, we get blocked. But yes, portals open. I've actually dealt with that. And, Gav, one of the things that you could do in terms of portals is I tell people, and it's really expert, it works, is to get a bowl of salt and put it in the bedroom, because salt will shut down excess energy that's negative or anything dangerous. So nothing will come through the portal that will be disruptive. And it's just get like a cereal bowl, fill it with salt, put it somewhere in the bedroom near that portal prop. That would be good. And that will go a long way in helping to slow down that energy, and your son will sleep better at night. I hope that helps a little bit. Mina Lori, hey Mina. Mina says, yeah, it was really cool to see Bob in my dreams and teaching me. Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny. Last week we were talking about that, about astral projection and doppelgangers. And I do think I go out and visit people. Sometimes I wake up and even feel like I've been out. So anyways, I hope, Mina, that it was a positive experience with you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Gav just wrote, he says, wherever he and his missus go, strange things happen, but every night they hear knocking from inside the wardrobe. Very interesting. Gav, I don't know how old your son is, but if he's teenager, a lot of teenagers, especially if they have a psychic inclination, during those years, it kicks into high gear. Now, also, Gavin, I'd like to encourage you to do some research on what we call physical mediumship, because I think that he or his girlfriend or wife have some physical mediumship going on as well. That means they can pull power out of a medium, make a physical sound or apparition or voices. And I know this because I am myself a bit of a physical medium. And I have actually done seances where I've got raps going down the walls, across the table, and voices to materialize that everybody in the room could hear. They were not coming through me, they were outside of me. So that's physical mediumship. So it may be just a poltergeist, but it could also be physical mediumship.
You tell them to knock back.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell us about that, Lord Tony.
Well, I'm just thinking to myself, they're hearing knocks on the wardrobe. Knock back and see if you get a reply.
That's a brilliant idea.
You can actually start a communication, like that, and you voice it. It's like, give me 2 knocks for yes, 1 knock for no. Go from
That's
that.
A great idea. Oh, I love that. Yes. Gav, I hope you heard that. I think that's a great idea, Tony.
Unless you get a voice back that says, knock it off. I wouldn't do
it. Call Psychic Bob. I'll come and visit. Sort that out. Jenna L writes, would a bowl of salt do the same job as a Himalayan salt lamp? Hi, Jenna. Actually, yes. Salt lamp's a great thing also to keep in your bedroom to have a better night's sleep, especially for people who are very psychic. Yes, salt lamps work. Lord Tony, did you tell me you have a salt lamp?
That's why I just raised my hand. I do have a nice big 7-pound salt lamp in my bedroom. There are some cheap ones out there. You want to watch out for those. They have a tendency to overheat. They have the wrong size bulb in there, and the switches will actually start on fire. So, yeah. So don't get the LED ones either. As pretty as those are, they don't work the way they're supposed to, because the way the salt lamp is supposed to actually do its job is the little incandescent lamp that's on the inside heats up the salt, releasing all the negative ions that go with it and infuses the room with that energy. And LEDs just don't put the heat out for it.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually have a salt lamp too, and it's true. Mine has the regular bulb, and it does release the ions. So yeah. Gav Hines said that his son is 20 and he's married and they have a child. So, well, Gav, this is interesting because I'm leaning away from poltergeist activity. I think it's some physical mediumship going on there. We'll have to talk more about that, but yes. I think Lord Tony said best start a conversation. He might want to also explore table tipping. In the old days of spiritualism, when they'd have a communication, the tables would rise off the ground and rock back and forth, and sometimes they'd bounce around the room and tap out messages. You know what I'm talking about, Lord Tony, with table tipping?
Yeah, I haven't seen it per se, in in person. I saw it plenty of times on there's a UK ghost hunting show that I wasn't too sure if I could believe what they were doing over there or not, but they did a lot of table tipping, a lot of stone throwing, and it's hard to say.
Well, you know, I think that, you know, communication with the spirit world can be a positive experience if we choose it to be. Now, if the spirit, of course, is being hostile or threatening, you know, like Lord Tony says, like, ah, don't knock on the door, then you're going to have to cleanse it out. And you know, Gav, I know you've been practicing the craft, so you know how to do a cleansing. But I think before you do a cleansing, it might be interesting to find out what the spirit wants. It might just be an earthbound soul as well, you know, because Lord, I don't know if you've been to England, but it's a very haunted country. You know, the whole.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've had actually plenty of dreams over that way, and it's always with castles though. I must have this thing in a past life about castles, and I've been in a knight in shining armor on a horseback and riding into the castles. I've been running through passageways under castles and going after stuff. Just weird dreams.
How interesting. Yeah, I think that our dream world opens between dimensions. We discover our past lives. You know, we astral project. We go to the spirit world. All sort of things happen at night. And you know, I just think that we should all pay attention to our dreams. There's messages for all of us. You know. Lord Tony, Gav says, I think you mean the show Most Haunted. LOL.
Yep.
Load of tosh to me. Trash.
Yep. That's the exact show.
Yeah, I have questions about that show as well. That's all I'm going to say. I don't like to criticize people, but I'll just say I have questions. Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Aaron Kemp says Britain's haunted because it's old. Yeah, and so many wars. You know, a lot of people died during World War II. You know, there are a lot of souls there from that era. That was my experience when I was there. You know, I had one of the most, I got to tell you, one of the most interesting paranormal experiences is I went to the Tower of London. And, you know, you hear it, oh, the Tower of London's haunted. Well, I went there as a total skeptic. I thought, you know what, most of these historic places really are not haunted. So I went there a total disbeliever. And I had a very paranormal experience. I was going up the spiral stairway. Any of you have been in the Tower of London, you know about that staircase that goes up. And I actually felt somebody walk behind me and breathe on my neck and touch me as they went by. And there's nobody there. And that was really freaky. So yeah, I think it is haunted, you know. And I felt spirits there. There was some people, well, a lot of people were murdered in the Tower of London. And I felt spirits. One of them was a young boy who was killed there, and I felt his presence as well. So yeah, haunted place. I love Britain. I need to come back. You British viewers, you guys want Psyche Bob to come over to England? Huh? Would you like me to come and spend some time with you? Because I sure miss it. I used to live there. I lived down in Cambridge. I also lived up in the north in Darlington. So I know my way around Britain pretty well. Haven't been to Ireland yet, Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland, but I'd like to go to both as well. Been to Scotland, been to England, touched on the border of Wales, didn't spend a lot of time. I'd like to see more of Wales. And Adele, if you're still here, you're still up, Adele, you know, I'll come see you in Wales. So that'd be a lot of fun, you know.
I think we should all go, the whole crew of.
Yeah.
I think all of our officers, all the officers should get together, make a special trip out there, and stay in Gav's living room.
There we go. Hey, Gav, we'll bring our sleeping bags. We're crashing out at your house. Gav's like, wow. Now, I'd love to come back to England. I love it. I miss all my British friends, and I'd love to come and spend time with all my YouTube British friends. Gav says he wants us to come over, Lord Tony.
I heard he's buying the tickets.
Yeah. Hey, Gav. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. Joey Darkensoul says, hey, I got a chance to ghost hunt in a lighthouse. You know, I've seen on TV there are some very haunted lighthouses, Joey. So I think that's wonderful. Did you have any experiences that were paranormal? I'm curious to hear. Oh, look who's in the chat tonight. Lady Carol is here.
Yep, I just saw that.
Hi, Lady Carol. Listen, hon, I got to tell you, thank you for checking in. Thank you for that post. I tried to find your GoFundMe account last week. I couldn't find it. I called Lady Angela and she couldn't find it. So I don't know if it was down, but I've got the link now. So while I'm on the subject, those of you who may not know, Lady Carol is not with us tonight. She's resting. She's in mourning because her husband passed away 2 weeks ago. And we would like the members of the Order of the Purple Cord to please go and donate to her GoFundMe. Insurance doesn't cover half the stuff it should. And there are a lot of expenses from his radiation, her husband's chemotherapy, and then they've got funeral expenses that were not covered. And so we as the Order are trying to raise funds. And Lady Carol has a goal of $2,500. I think they're up to about $400. And it wouldn't take much. If each of us gave $20, $30, $40, $50, some of you out there are wealthy, you could give $100 or more. We could help Lady Carol's family, have some closure. Because, when a loved one goes, there's still a lot that's left. I know, Lady Carol, when my father passed away, it took months to close out all of the stuff associated with his passing. And I swear, I think it's harder to die than to be born, at least in the U.S. So I want everybody, seriously, please, give generously to Lady Carol's family because they've been put in a bad position. For those of you who may not know, Lady Carol, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I think it's important to share. Lady Carol and her husband just bought a new home. They say used all their life savings and bought a home. And literally about 2 months after moving into the home, her husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer, leukemia, and passed. And so Lady Carol is now on her own trying to manage that house, manage all the expenses. And, life just kind of came up on them. And that's how, sometimes that happens. So I'm asking you all, I'm going to put the link. Please see it in the info box after this video. Also, go over to the Facebook page. Lady Carol, I think it's on the Order of the Purple Cord page, but also I think it's on your page. Make a donation. Let's help them get back on their feet. Okay, Lady Carol does an awful lot for the Order, and we need to help her. Okay, so please be generous. So, thank you, Lady Carol. She's still here. Okay. Yes. Also, Lady Carol, yeah, make sure if you can't, maybe you can put the link in the chat to the GoFundMe. I don't know how to do that, but if you can do that, that would be a great thing and put that in tonight, okay? Listen, we're glad to help you. I'm glad you're with us, and I hope you're being gentle with yourself. This is for everybody because when we go through a time of struggle, a time of sorrow, we have to retreat from the world. Lord Tony, as witches, we practice at times silence. We have to withdraw from the world and come back within ourselves and reconnect to the Lord and the Lady. And Lord Tony, you've had times when you've needed to withdraw from the world, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I'm fortunate, working at night. I get to come downstairs and this is like my time when I come home from work, and I got 3-4 hours sometimes. Actually, tonight I'll have like 7 or 8, but before I have to go to bed. But yeah, so I get my quiet time to recharge and do what I need to do. And but yeah, I've had my days though where I've come down here and spent like 3 hours and no TV, no nothing, just silence in the dark, eyes closed, head rolled back, a crystal in the hand.
Oh, I like that. Yes. Lady Carol, I hope you're drinking a lot of herbal tea and being gentle with yourself. We really want to see you, heal. And grief is hard. Sometimes people will say to me, oh, well, Psyche Bob, you're a medium. You can talk to the dead. You must never be upset. And I say, you don't understand. Just because I can talk to the dead, I still grieve like everybody else. You know, this world, we miss the physical contact. And while we're in the body, we relate to people physically. We relate to the world physically. So, yes, I grieve too. And Lady Carol's husband was so nice. Lord Pettis is a great supporter of the Order of the Purple Cord. He always backed Lady Carol's work here and encouraged it, and oftentimes called me up and said, Bob, we're just, glad what you guys are doing. And so, I miss him and I miss his presence. And so I grieve as well. And Lady Carol, we're with you. We send you a lot of love. We really do. And I'm glad I hope you are taking it gentle and be gentle with yourself. It's so important. Let's see here. I can't see what's in the chat. You guys forgive me. I'm half blind here. Lady Carol, a lot of people are sending blessings to you, and I'm with them on that. I think that's, you have a family here. We all get through things together. This is one of the things, the craft, Lord Ted, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a little prejudiced because I'm a Wiccan, but I really feel like of all the religions, like the craft has a greater sense of bonding among its members than, I've gone to various churches, and there are good churches out there. I'm not saying they're bad, but there's something unique about the craft. I think the craft, our congregations are smaller for one thing, and I think we have a sacred bond, don't you? Do you think so?
Yeah. The problem with mainstream religion is that you're meant to follow their rules. And as far as Wicca with their spiritual practices, we make our own. And we still follow a code, but we don't have to argue with anybody about what we're doing. We know what we're doing is good. We don't have to sit there and worry about whether or not, the congregation is going to get mad at us because we just deviated from what they expect of us, So I think Wicca works out really well for people.
I think so too. And it's interesting. I saw a show the other day, Lord Tony. It was a study in religion. It was actually by some scientific group that was evaluating religion across the United States. And do you know that the pagan religions have been among the fastest growing faith traditions in the United States in the last 10 years?
Yeah, because I hate to say this, but because of all the crap that the other religions are pulling.
Yeah, and I don't want to name names, but there are a lot of churches where it gets so bound up in politics. Maybe the craft has its politics too, but not to the degree that a lot of these organized groups have. And right. I think you said it perfectly, Lord Tony. You said, we don't get bound up by all of this, rules. We kind of are much more free spirited. I think so. No. I think so.
And to quote Lady Angela, Bob, where's all that time gone?
I just looked at the clock. I was about to say, Lord Tony's down there with them titanium rods doing stuff.
I have it right here.
Show it to everybody. They can't see it.
Right here. Oh, it's this nice big punching chunk of titanium.
I believe that's a magical metal. I really do. After sterling silver, titanium's my favorite metal. Actually, sometimes I like it more than silver because it's indestructible practically. At least by my standards,
And it's flammable.
What?
It's even flammable.
What's that mean? It catches on fire?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that the dust from titanium or even chips will catch fire.
Oh my. Well, I got to be careful with that. Hopefully my jewelry won't set me up in flames.
No. You don't have nothing to worry about with that. But being a machinist, that's one thing we always watch out for.
How interesting. Well, we're going to have a whole show about titanium soon. Well, guys, listen, our time has flown. I don't know where it goes, but I am so honored that you took the time to join us tonight. And listen, this week, reach out to Lord Tony. A lot of you need healing, and he's an expert at that. He works with the angels. Lord Tony, I'm going to let you tell a little bit about your healing work here before we go and give how to contact you.
Yeah, I have a website that's Lightbringers Angels, and if you just Google Lightbringers Angels, it'll show right up in there. I think there's like, it's almost made it to the top of the search list, which is really good because the more people that Google it, the more people, the higher up in the list it gets, so the more people can see it. Or you can reach it through the link in the description box below the video. But basically, I work with the angels. They come and work through me, and we send their energies out to where it needs to go. You know, we can probably heal just about anything we try to heal. You know, it might take some time, but I'm sure we can get it done. But, you know, headaches, energy blockages. I've had so much work for a while. You know, it's like last week was kind of dull. It's picked up a little bit, but I learned something new, a new technique almost every single time I have to do this. And I can't say it, have to do this. It's because I want to do this. But I learned something new almost every single time, and everyone's different. So keep it coming. It's my donations only. And if you don't like what I've done, you're not out any money, but the healing will still happen.
But I do hope that those of you who borrow Tony's energy and his connection will honor him with a generous donation, because he's put a lot of years into developing his craft and his skill. And the only reason the witching hour goes on every week is because of Lord Tony. Every member of our council here has been literally near death in the last year. And Lord Tony's intervention literally saved us. So we are thankful. So definitely look him up. The link will be below this video. And so definitely check him out. I want to say thank you for being here. You know, if you need some help, maybe you've been waiting on messages from the spirit world, but I can't get to you because I do get hundreds and hundreds of letters. You might want to invest in a private reading with me. I am a full-time professional psychic medium. I do this all day long. I do psychic readings. And, you know, private reading is you and me one-on-one for a full hour. So if you'd like to sit down with me and learn about your journey, you know, I cover everything: past, present, future issues, spirit guides, messages from deceased loved ones. We look at your past lives, your karmic links, what your life mission is. And I answer all of your psychic questions as well. And if you'd like to sit down and do a reading with me, please give me a call. I think I still have a few openings for this week. Call me at my office number, 703-825-3929. Put that in your phone, by the way. Just go ahead and program it now. Even if you don't want to buy a reading now, you'll have it for the future. 703-825-3929. I have that link below. And visit my website, www.psychicbob.com. I'd love the chance to read for you guys. You rock. And you can also write to me at my email, readings@robert-hickman.com. That will be below also. So listen, look up Lord Tony, look up me. Visit Lady Angela as well at rarewiccaspells.com. And visit Lady Carol. She has an eBay store, which is Lady Carol's Wands and More. And that's an eBay store. And you can also visit her website. I think it's up, ladycarolswandsandmore.com. And we'll have the link for her email link below as well. So, you know, look us up. Let us help you on your journey. I've had the best time. Lord Jenny, have you had a good time tonight?
Yeah, I have. It flew by really quick tonight, especially with the weird start that we had. But
but you know what? You made it here, and we're so thankful.
Yeah.
Well, Lord Jenny, you want to say good night to everybody?
No, I want to continue this, but you know, I got to do it anyway. So good night, everybody. It's been a great show.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. I love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow for what do we do on Monday here at Spirit Channel, Lord Tony?
Wait, I hear Angela. Horoscopes.
That's right. Yeah, so be back here tomorrow. We're going to have horoscopes for you guys. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, may all of you, oh, by the way, before I say it, like this video. Please go back, like it, thumbs up, share it with your friends. Those likes up, those thumbs, those favoriting help the ratings and keep us on the air. Please help me out with that, okay? I love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, may you all always blessed
be.
Blessed be. Yes. We'll see you then. Have a good night, guys. Love you all.